Good morning. Welcome to the January 11, 2022 Effingham Board of Selectmen's meeting. As we get started, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Selectmen's minutes, January 4th, 2022. I will make a motion to approve the minutes. January 4th, 22nd. All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public minutes from January 4, 2022.
Second that.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the manifest dated January 13th, 2022 in the amount of $115,290.68.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Okay, in the mailbag, we had a DES landfill acknowledgement of receipt of a 2020 post-closure report. We have a copy of a letter to the planning board from the Conservation Commission concerning Phillips Brook. We had a couple of reports from our pest control company, JP Pest Control, on some of the activity of rodents at our fire stations. Nothing, not a major problem, just a normal report kind of thing. Let's see. Okay, Audrey, let's get into anything you might have.
I updated the winter maintenance shoveling, which you have to review later. I also did the
So are we waiting for Brad to give us any feedback on
He
that?
didn't have any. I
Okay,
gave it to him.
good.
already. Yep, so he
Perfect.
was fine with it, if you were all fine with it.
Okay,
I also did a 2-page summary for the transfer station ordinance. I gave a copy to Mark to have the guys at the transfer station take a look at it, and copy to Lenny and Garsos, see if they can find errors in it.
and this is the updated handout for people who are using the transfer stations, what they can bring there and what they can't bring there.
Yes, correct. Let's see, we're waiting on the lawyer on HEB for his comments back on the Primex comments for the contract. The warrant articles are all drafted. We'll be looking at those later this morning. I did a draft MS 37 for the budget committee. I don't know if we have updates. I'm sure Dave will work with me on that. And we're really doing great on the town report, the 2021 town report. Almost every department has submitted something to me. And since you didn't get my emails, I asked you for the Board of Selectmen one, and I think I'm waiting for the trustees. So we're in super good shape. I just need to write to Minuteman on that one. Then I filled in for taking minutes at the budget committee and met with Rebecca and David on the process for, just to clarify, since Rebecca doesn't have her key anymore, how the process is going for files. And then Eversource is gonna come and talk to me tomorrow. They're talking to all the municipalities about being prepared for winter, and so I signed up on their notification so they can contact me, I guess, if there's a major outage or emergency or anything like that.
Yeah, they've started doing more proactive reach out communication, education stuff than they've ever done before. So
Right, so they'll be here tomorrow for a little bit. And I still have the HEB session minutes from last week to get done.
okay,
So that'll be ready next week for you.
good. Lenhart's contract, is that a 1-year, 2-year? I don't remember what that was. Because it's coming up. That's why we're just curious.
Right, he did send me something. I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
His contract didn't it was a very vague contract. It didn't actually have terms around it. So we're just going month to month right now.
Okay.
Yes, that needs to be addressed.
And we need to add some additional terms that weren't in the previous one, as you're aware of,
Yes.
with some of the service requirements. Okay. Good. That's it.
That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Lenny?
Last night at the historic district, Susan said she's gonna type up her send it to the town report.
Okay,
So when you get it, I don't know when she's gonna do it, but we gave her the okay to do it. And they also asked if we have have to have a public hearing for some reason, if the office can notice the newspapers, get it in to the newspapers if we have to have them.
public hearing for what?
Well, you know, somebody wants to do something in the historic district, they have to, like if they want to cut,
By their guidelines, that's a
Yeah.
public meeting.
Oh, okay,
So,
you know,
public
say,
meeting or public hearing? So
public
I-
hearing in the district.
yeah,
would
but it
request
has to be
this.
noticed in the paper, so
Okay,
they didn't know who they could get to do
all right, so
it.
you want me to send her instructions?
I don't see anything coming up.
Okay,
We don't have any applications or anything as of yet.
but if they send me the blurb, then I can just send,
Yeah,
forward it out.
And
pretty
I'm,
much to do what we do with any public hearings, pretty
Okay.
much the same. So,
and I'm sure because the ones they've done 2 or 3 years ago, they probably got copies of what they had sent to the newspapers at that point. We could just-
Yeah, Eric Jones has copies of everything, so,
Yeah, who, what, when, where?
yeah.
Yeah, Eric used to be the one sending them out.
Where, you know, they don't really have a secretary per se, so. And well, they were asked by the select board to do a mailing, like Rebecca does?
Yeah.
Okay,
That was part of the open discussion
okay.
last year in selectmen's meeting. It's like, you know,
Okay.
really nice.
They were wondering who was going to pay the postage.
It comes out of their budget
Okay,
for all 20 or 30 or 40.
okay, so it's good for the HDC. Mark got his key to the. Does it work, you know?
I didn't know.
You didn't? Okay, we'll
Yeah.
find out tomorrow. And where do we stand on the cash register?
I told the guys to find the manual.
Yeah.
And open it up to the page that has been marked to, here's how you reprogram the
Okay,
costs in there. And Bill said he was going to find it.
okay, so we're just waiting on that.
And
You
Bill was
emailed
on-
it to me, and I emailed you back, but since you're not getting email right now, my question was, do you want me to print that for them?
No, because they got the hard copy of that.
Okay,
They got the hard copy of that one with folded down pages and highlighted pages. Here are the
Okay.
pages you need. And so I gave that to you just so we have something for the files here. Because I don't think, there was only one manual at the time, so.
And collections, we're having problems. They had to shut the compactor down because that was stolen, never come and collected it. Tires are getting overrun with tires. I don't even know if they can get the glass container out. There's so much glass, in it. The truck picked it up and on. So I don't know what the, I know it's the holidays and everything else, but. NRA, whatever it is, those people.
Mhm.
I know they said that they were having trouble collecting tires, but what about the rest of the stuff? Maybe fire an email off to them saying, you know, what's gonna happen if they can't get that glass container out of
And we probably ought to ratchet it up a little bit above just the dispatch, the general number that we have. I think there is a contact person for that in the file.
there? And I gave you the card for our rep from Waste Management, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's all I got for right now.
All right. Couple of notices we need to make sure everybody's aware of. So under RSA 669:19, filing period for candidates for the following positions. For the meeting, the vote on March 8th town election will be Wednesday. So here's the sign up period, Wednesday, January 19th, 2022 through Friday, January 28th, 2022. Some people are gonna question, like, the office isn't open on Friday. It has to be for this, so Deanna will be here, and I believe it's a 3 to 5 PM timeframe that the office has to be open. So positions that are open, and we would love to see volunteers volunteer their time. I believe a year or so ago, we had 39 positions, and we had 24 people that were filling 39 positions. That gives you an indication of the workload. So coming up this year, there'll be a selectman term for 3 years, a selectman term for 1 year, a trustee of the trust funds for 3 years, 2 library trustees at 3 years each, 2 budget committee folks at 3 members at 3 years each, 2 planning board members at 3 years each, 2 zoning board of adjustments at 3 years each, and a moderator position, which will be a 2-year position. This one's a critical one. Susan is semi-retiring, stepping down from the job, and we need somebody that is willing to step into that role. Deanna is the major support role, but it does mean somebody's got to stand up in front of the crowds at town meeting and kind of just manage through the warrant articles. So there's a little bit of training. Deanna was telling me this morning that handles all the responsibilities that are there. And a lot of the to-do stuff is stuff that Deanna does as part of her job. So please, if anybody's interested in that position, know that you can sign up for it. And the last is a supervisor of the checklist, 1 opening, and that's a 6-year appointment. The town clerk's office is open by appointment. Call it at 603-539-7551 or email tcassist@effinghamnh.net or Deanna.Amaral@effinghamnewhampshire.net for questions. Thank you.
Deanna did say that if anyone wants to go in after, after a meeting, they're here for another business purpose, but please just go ahead.
Town offices will be closed January 17, 2021 in honor of Martin Luther King Civil Rights Day. I believe that is a federal holiday. Okay, we've got that done. We also, under new business, we have a modification that we need to make to one of our approved budget worksheets, 4312 highways and streets. Under road reconstruction, we had put in $250,000. We also had done the same thing in the warrant article that we're preparing, which means it would be double counted. So we're taking that 250 out, and it means our new total will be $528,750. So I'll make a motion to approve this line item.
Second to that.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
And we had, at the last budget committee meeting, there was one of the health agencies that had submitted late, and the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee approved the number, but we need to officially do that here today. So I'll make a motion to approve 4415 health agencies in the total amount of $22,530.
Didn't we do that last, at the budget meeting?
We did, but this
Okay,
is just.
I'll second that.
Here and get it. Okay, all those in favor, Fuller, aye?
Aye.
Good, all right. It becomes a record keeping formality. Okay, we got that one. There was a question that came up a couple meetings back by Mr. Lawrence Edwards regarding where information could be found describing public comment, how that's handled. Audrey was kind enough to do a little homework in the rules of procedures, which is on the town website under the Selectman's office. If you refer to page 3 of 8, page 3 in detail covers what that is. So there is something in writing that's available for everybody to look at. Let's see. At 10 this morning, we actually have a bid contractors meeting. It's mandatory for any of the contractors that want to do the bid on Green Mountain Road this year. They need to come in. They're coming in here. Normally it would be a site visit out there, but we're doing it in here today. It'll allow them to ask any questions for clarification that they need regarding what they might want to submit for a bid, and then we'll capture those questions and answers. And then anybody that has requested a bid package will get those written questions and answers. So it becomes an educational component. And we have the police chief coming in at about 10:15, 10:20 today to review the monthly report from the police department from December of 2021. All right. There were some items, Dave, I know you and Audrey had some discussion this morning regarding some of the warrant article stuff. You want to get into that right now?
We can if you want to preliminary approve them. I mean, did you get the 4901 warrant sheet and the 15? Audrey, did they get that? 15 and 16? Is it?
So there's a packet I gave you, and the selectmen need to go through each warrant article and vote on it and approve it.
Do we need to individually vote or can we vote in mass on the sheet?
I was instructed that it has to be individual, so that's why I left time.
Okay.
Didn't have Joe come in earlier,
All right.
because I thought there may be
The
discussion.
4916 is the addition of the removal from 4901 to 50,000 for the historic town hall, and putting it into 4916.
Right.
Do you have that sheet?
I have the revised one that Audrey pulled together based on the discussion we had.
Okay,
So
so the
it says-
4916 sheet, you have added the 50,000 in there?
Yep. So
Okay. You had voted on this back in 1023.
Yep.
but This got added to 50, so that
Yep.
means another.
we need to change that one.
Yep.
And we also need to change 4901 Bailey Road Bridge.
Yes,
Lenny caught the water flowing from.
4901, we gotta make a few changes on that anyway. There's
Okay.
more than that. I can walk you through that if you want, when you have that in front of you.
You want to start at the top and just go through them?
All right, 4915, fire truck and equipment, capital reserve fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the fire truck and equipment capital reserve fund? And special warrant article, majority required, and then a description of what that is. Questions?
None for me.
Good. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye?
Aye.
Warrant article number 2, or in this second order of today, 4915 fire truck and fire truck equipment capital reserve fund. Shall the town vote to raise an appropriate sum of $2,000 to be added to the fire truck and fire truck equipment capital reserve fund. Sum to come from the unassigned fund balance. And this money represents money received from the town of Parsonsfield for fire department mutual aid. Any other questions? Good. Make a motion to approve 4915 fire truck and fire truck equipment.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye?
Aye.
4915 police cruiser and equipment capital reserve fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of 15,000 to be added to the police cruiser and equipment capital reserve fund. The sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Special warrant article. Majority vote required. Make a motion to approve that item.
Second.
All those in favor,
Sure.
for aye?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
I had removing the last sentence in the description because we do fund the entire cruiser. That's through the capital
Yep.
improvement, so we do fund the entire. So I had the last sentence of the description being deleted. I know
Yep, and I'm good with that.
sorry, I gave you a flurry of emails, I'm sorry. But
You good
going
with
over
that,
it this way, we'll be able to get everything.
So the description is not technical to the DRA.
No. Just informative for the public, I agree.
But what I was gonna say is that if the police cruiser is a little more, if we needed one, say, heaven forbid, there was an accident, you need one immediately, the fund doesn't have quite enough in it because it needs to have outfitted for a canine or something, then you would still just move forward to get it. So I don't know if it's important to take it out. It can go either way, really, in my opinion. But
Well, this is just the equipment on the cruiser that we fund.
Yeah, this-
Every,
oh, okay,
yeah, so it's not the canine. So.
I'm good taking the last.
all right,
one out.
okay.
4915 transfer station recycling center cap reserve fund. Showtown vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the transfer station recycling cap reserve fund previously established. The sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, a special warrant article, majority vote required. People are aware also that we have, with the fees that are being collected going into a special reserve fund, that is different than this one. The special reserve fund where we're collecting the fees can only be voted at town meeting. So from an expenditure standpoint. So the money that's there can't be touched unless we do something at town meeting. This particular fund would fund us in the event, let's say a compactor bites the dust during the year, we need to buy a new compactor. That's what this particular reserve fund would cover. I'll make a motion to approve 4915 Transfer Station Recycling Center CRF.
Second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
4916 Bridge Maintenance Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the Bridge Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund? The sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation, special warrant article, majority vote required. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Municipal Buildings Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Municipal Building Expendable Trust Fund? This sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised for taxation. A special warrant article, majority vote required. And this is the standard sum that we normally put into that account every year.
Sure.
Yep,
The correction on this is not from the unassigned fund balance.
this one's not,
No,
okay?
so I suggest after this sum is 2, you delete all the way up to be raised from taxation.
This sum is come from taxation.
This sum is to be raised from taxation.
Thank you. Okay, make a motion to approve 4916 municipal buildings ETF with the amended language.
Second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
4916 computer network expendable trust fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the computer network equipment expendable trust fund? The sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, a special warrant article, majority vote required. Make a motion to approve that item.
Second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Police safety year expendable trust fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the police safety protective gear expendable trust fund? The sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation. Special warrant article, majority vote required. To make a motion to approve that item.
Second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one, 4916 Town Hall Repair and Rehabilitation Expendable Trust Fund. So what Dave was referring to just a few minutes ago was originally we were going to basically put the normal 10,000 that we have been funding annually toward that building in a warrant article. But we also have a powder post beetle damage issue where we've got to rip up the library floor and replace the beams and joists and everything else. That was going to be a separate warrant article. Part of the issue is that we may be able to get grant money to match some of what the town appropriates. If I pigeonhole it strictly into a warrant article that talks about powder post beetle damage, it'll be difficult to be able to do that particular grant request app to get the money in. So by putting it into one article, I'm still going to explain it on the floor. Here's what the 50 is targeted for. But it'll basically be, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $60,000 to be added to the town hall repair and rehabilitation expendable trust fund. The sum of $50,000 is to come from unassigned fund balance and $10,000 to be raised from taxation. Special warrant article, majority vote required. The reason that we're doing it out of the unassigned fund balance is it's a one-time event. And if we raise it in taxes, that means we've raised it potentially for future events. We don't want to do that. We want to pigeonhole this strictly for one-time event. Easiest way to fund that is out of the unassigned fund balance. Make a motion to approve that line item.
Second that.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Fire department equipment expendable trust fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be added to the fire department equipment expendable trust fund? The sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, special warrant article, majority vote required. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
All right, planning and land use expendable trust fund, Shell 4916, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the planning and land use expendable trust fund, sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, special warrant article, majority vote required. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
And 4916 invasive aquatic plant non-capital reserve fund, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be added to the invasive aquatic plant non-capital reserve fund. The sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised in taxation, special warrant article, majority vote required. Make a recommendation to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Voting machine expendable trust fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be added to the voting machine expendable trust fund? Sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, a special warrant article, and majority vote required. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Emergency management generator replacement expendable trust fund.
It
Shall the
comes from the unassigned, it doesn't state that, so we need to add that in there.
On which one, David?
Emergency management, we need to have that coming from the unassigned fund balance.
Mine says
Says
that.
that.
Mine says that.
Mine says that on this one.
Got it on that?
There are updated copies on the table behind you.
Oh, I missed that one, I'm sorry, I'm looking at mine on, yeah, I'm trying to compare the ones. you
Nope,
just did.
that's
Okay, so
good.
you got that, Audrey?
I did.
Perfect.
All right, make a motion to approve that line item.
Second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Okay, Bailey Road Bridge. There's gonna be some discussion on this one. Shall the town vote to raise,
Yeah,
appropriate the sum of $450,000 to complete the engineering plans, replace the culverts on Bailey Road? It's at Bailey Road Bridge. The sum of $150,000 to come from ARPA funds. And that was the money that we received, and $300 to come from the unassigned fund balance. And Dave has some, that's a suggested change. So it's more in the descriptive area, right, David?
well, I think it's the wording of. what
Oh,
we're
yeah,
raising-
yeah.
we're raising and
300
appropriating.
from there, and the
We
other
have-
150, we don't need to appropriate because it's
We
already,
already approved the ARPA funds.
okay, all right. So I'm gonna, we need to amend the wording on what I just said. So here's the wording we should look at using.
Before you do that, that's what I was referring to earlier when we were talking. In my law of budgeting book, the course that I recently took, it says that it should list the entire amount in the warrant articles and then describe where it's coming from. So although you already approved
And
it,
that's what he's done here.
Yeah, it's the entire amount that you raise and appropriate, Audrey. What the difference is they've already approved ARPA funds, it's already,
they've approved to accept them, but they have not approved how they're going to really spend them in a vote.
right, but we're only raising, we're not raising and appropriating those ARPA funds in that warrant article. In the description, we're saying where we're using that.
But that could be true for like your unassigned fund balance, so you're raising and appropriating it from monies you have in the bank, in your savings account. You're raising and appropriating it from a grant, ARPA.
Okay,
Taxation.
here's what I want to do on this one. Get a hold of Michelle Clark, please, and find out, here's wording where you think we have, here's wording where we think we should need to modify it. What's the wording we need to have? And ask her to give us that.
Yeah,
info.
I did the same as you. I went back into all my instructions and all that, and I also bounced it off Mike because he has extensive knowledge on it. But I mean, I went back in all my training on warrant articles. It should only be what we're actually raising and appropriating. If we already have those funds, we can use them to supplement it, but that's what's gonna go for your tax base, is what, when we put it in the computer for Michelle, if you remember, we're gonna do the offsets.
Yeah, we don't want to do the whole 450.
We don't
wanna
want
do
to raise
300.
that again,
Yep.
no.
Nope.
No.
We
Because
don't
it's
wanna-
raise and appropriate, it's not just raise or appropriate.
Yep.
Right, because we've already have it. It's raise and appropriate.
Okay, I'll ask.
So we
Michelle.
just need to make sure that, I'm only suggesting. this,
Right,
we just
because
need to
my
make sure.
recollection is when we did that, at one point there were, I don't remember which report we were working on, and we weren't coming out correctly, and it's because we hadn't gone to the back and said, okay, we're gonna deduct these amounts
Yeah, that's what
because of
we
the
had.
unassigned fund balance and things like that. So I think it's similar to that based on what I read, but,
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
think.
we'll
we
ask
We'll
just
just,
need to verify.
Ultimately, Michelle's going
Right.
to be the arbiter anyway, so we'll just ask her.
and that's going to be true for the paving as well.
Okay,
The rate line is 49.1, right?
but we won't do anything with that one. We'll hold that one until we get clarification.
Yeah, and the fire chief too, probably the same thing. On that.
Yep. So the question we need that on the fire chief one, Audrey, need to ask her the same question. Do we need to basically appropriate the full 25,000, even though we're gonna reduce the operating budget if this is approved? By 16,400.
And I'll point out to you that if we don't raise and appropriate the 25,000. Right, if we just put the amount, the offset, and then we reduce the operating budget on the salary line item, you don't have enough. So you have to raise and appropriate the
The
25,000,
25.
because if that's approved, because that's the contract, is 25,000.
Yep.
So I think this one's pretty cut and dry, we have to raise the 25,000, and then we go back, if it's approved, like the description says, and we reduce that 16.4 in the operating budget, and then the town votes on it. But otherwise, we end up, if we just put the difference in there, we wouldn't have enough.
Okay, so it's almost the opposite of what we were just doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it looks like the wording, other than changing 8,600 to 25,000. The rest of the explanation looks like it fits, does it not?
Yeah, that's. Trying to make sure we get the same thing that you're saying. And then the next, flip of the next page is the description that goes over to.
Yeah.
So just raise and appropriate, the description explains how you change it, that's what Audrey had.
yeah, that one I don't have any concern about doing what Dave's recommending.
Okay. So
But if you
we'll-
want to wait a week,
Yeah,
then
let's
have
just-
it reworded.
we can do that. That's perfect.
Reword it.
Yeah, and I like the way you got that word too, David. Nice, short, sweet.
There's a bridges, so you can see that.
Green. Okay. All right, so we're gonna hold on that one also. All right, 4901, Group 1, New Hampshire Retirement System, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $7,500 for employee participation in the New Hampshire Group 1 Retirement System. The appropriation would allow for qualified employees, full-time employees to participate in the New Hampshire Retirement System from the town office. Currently, fire department and police department are automatically signed up. Once they hit full-time status, they automatically qualify. Currently, one employee would be qualified, the town administrator. So I want to ask Michelle on this one too, because if I take the recommended salary for next year and this number, it's about $40 short. And I want to make sure that we can use this number rounded or add the word estimated or something. So that we don't get caught, otherwise we can't give the money and we'll get fined by the retirement system. Questions, anybody?
So would it's the set, would be how much short?
The,
400, you said?
Yeah.
For the projected salary?
Like $50.
it's like $42 and some odd
Oh.
cents above that.
So
So
we
we
could
just,
actually change that to 76.
Yeah.
If you want, Chuck, if you think it's off. Because
oh, I know it is. I went and did the calculation and it's like, Okay, and I'm good, 7,600
Yeah.
would be good, all right.
Yeah, I mean, then we can get rid of it.
Good, don't have to worry about it, okay. 4901, Group 1, New Hampshire Retirement System, shall the town vote to raise appropriate the sum of $7,600 for employee participation in the New Hampshire Group 1 Retirement System. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, full aye?
Aye.
Okay, Green Mountain Road, there's two flavors of Green Mountain Road. One flavor up front is the first one to approve and pay for the two sections remaining on Green Mountain Road, so 2.4 miles of Green Mountain Road. If this one passes, we would basically take the second one that follows it and negate it, because it wouldn't be applicable. If the first one fails, the second one would come up and that would be the vote. So, Dave, what was your changes on this one?
That's where the 250 is coming from taxation.
Oh, yeah, okay,
That we originally planned on, but we had just left it in streets, road construction. It should have been in this.
So that change is in there. Did you read the new one, Dave?
Yeah, but the 1.1 mile one is operating budget.
Oh,
Say it again, Lynn?
The next one, 1.1 miles, is from the operating budget. It should be from taxation.
I think I get that on both right now in front of you, right, Chuck?
yeah, yes, raise and appropriate. Okay. So, I'm looking at your numbers, so the 625 becomes 475, okay.
that's the same question for DRA because I
Yeah.
feel it's supposed to be the 625.
Let's ask that question too on that one, because that would again make a difference to Dave's point. We don't want to overshoot it if we don't have to.
Yeah, we already raised and appropriated the 150.
Yep.
You have that option to use that as a
Right.
select board.
Yep.
And it's already been voted on as a warrant article, just to remind you, for your use for Green Mountain Road.
Yep.
So that's why I think that was pretty cut and dry, because they already have the authorization to spend that for Green Mountain, by that warrant article of last town meeting.
Is warranted.
That's what that raised and appropriated for specifically. So they do have the
And
authorization.
it was special for Green Mountain, and it will be used for Green Mountain.
Yep.
So,
And that's what you did to carry over.
Yep.
Right,
The carryover was for, I had put in there road reconstruction.
Green Mountain Road, Creek Reconstruction.
I didn't say Green Mountain Road, and I had actually put in there that some of it was for the completion of the HEB contract. So I don't think we can go back and revisit what you've encumbered. So the additional HEB contract would come out of your operating budget somewhere for the warrant article for Bailey Road when it's approved.
I think you actually carried over 160,
159, yeah.
160, and this is 150.
Yeah.
Because that's what the warrant article said was 150 to be used for Green Mountain Road this coming year. So there is more that you carried over than the 150 requested in the article. So I thought that was the assumption that we were covering that by moving over more from the carryover. You see what I'm getting at, Chuck?
Yeah.
So I think we're good there. I think this is pretty cut and dry, because you do
Yeah.
have authorization for that 150
Right.
to use the Green Mountain Road.
Correct.
I mean, as select board members, and the warrant article approved by the town. But I thought that one was cut and dry.
Ask the question of Michelle,
Okay.
just so we're okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
We don't want to have this one screwed up.
No, she'll kick it back in the computer, and you know, I'll just be raising our heads at what?
Scratching our heads.
All right. So the first one at 2.4 miles, we're gonna hold on to that one, and we need the second one. We need to hold on to the second. one.
Maybe you can read the proposed.
Yep, the
changes.
proposed language for the 2.4 miles Green Mountain Road, 4901. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $475,000 to pave 2.4 miles of Green Mountain Road The sum of $225,000 is to come from the unassigned fund balance and $250,000 from taxation. The $250 is the amount that we raise for roads every year. So even though we're raising it here, that number is already baked into the tax rate that we had. So it's not any higher, not any lower. So it has basically no tax impact at that level. The description, the total estimated cost is $625,000. The sum of $250,000 is to come from taxation, $225,000 from the unassigned fund balance, and $150,000 to come from carryover funds. The appropriation would allow repair and pavement of the road from recently repaved section Green Mountain right up to Route 25. And the second one, I'll read the reworded language that we'll get clarification on. 4901 Green Mountain Road, 1.1 miles. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $250,000 to pave 1.1 miles of Green Mountain Road. The description, the total estimated cost is $400,000 for this next section. The sum of $250,000 is to come from taxation and $150,000 to come from the carryover funds. The appropriation would allow repair and pavement of the road from recently repaved section of Green Mountain, an additional 1.1 miles. The next section of road was what the money, that 150 we kept from last year, we knew we were going to need for this section this year. That's why we didn't spend it last year. There's a bunch of additional drainage and fill and a bunch of other things that needs to happen on a section of that road, because it will be a waste of money to pave it the way it is right now, because it'll only get batted up again. So that additional amount of money, whether it's in the 2.4 or the 1.1, is going to happen. So it is 400 for the 1.1 miles of road, no matter which one you choose. The question will really come down to, with the additional 225, do we want to just complete that rather than going back another year and saying, hey, we need 250,000 to do it. The assumption on our part, and hopefully it'll be proven out with the bids we get in, if we do the longer section of road, because they're doing a bigger project at one time, all the equipment, manpower, and everything is out here, it ends up being less than if we do one now, and in another year, we bring them back. So it's double moving equipment, people, scheduling the whole bit. So we're hoping there's enough cost savings to justify that. David, thank you. Do you have this?
I think he emailed it to me, but if I
I'll get with her after.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Make sure that we both have the same thing.
Are we holding that one? too?
We're gonna hold both of these, the 2.4 and the 1.1 till we get a change. And then the operating budget, so the town
we
votes.
don't want to vote on that one yet today because
Oh,
we
yeah,
just
because-
moved $10,000 over.
Yep.
So there'll be a change to
We'll
that.
do that one.
The two Green Mountain roads, we changed the, some were raising. What makes that different than the fire chief?
Which one, Lloyd?
The two Green Mountain roads,
Yeah.
it went from 625 to 475.
Yeah.
And the other one down to 250.
Yeah.
What makes those two different than asking for the whole thing for the fire chief?
The difference on that is because you had authorized the carryover funds.
But you still don't have to
The
appropriate the whole amount?
Well, you appropriate what you have to raise, which the carryover funds, you already have authorization, you've already raised that. Those carryover 150,000 in the other warrant articles.
Okay, when
The
that was
fire chief-
designated for Green Mountain Road?
So we
Yeah,
do that.
And the fire chief, we never raised and appropriate money for, it's the first time for that one, so that's what the difference on that is. And we'll only use the part-time salary offset if that gets approved.
Okay,
So the cost for the taxpayer would be what we offset after we reduce it. There would be a savings on
Did that answer your question?
yep.
The next three are,
I'm gonna go back to the operating budget, please.
Yeah.
I think the operating budget amount is correct here, just the description is wrong, so you'd still be able to vote on that. Do you concur with that amount for the operating budget, Dave?
Let me see, I wrote in my new number here. on the 737. 1987, 307 is correct.
So the only thing that will change here is, in my description, the percent increase might be a hair different. It might be 25.8,
Okay,
but it's not gonna be much.
And my suggestion on this is that you do not put that description in there because I don't agree with those numbers. And we don't do that on other individual warrant articles, tax impact as per the RSA. The RSA says that the town can vote to do tax impact on individual warrant articles. We do a summation in the beginning, like we have almost every year I've been here, of what you're gonna have the budget committee presented before you as the tax impact estimated by us, because it's our budget. So I don't recommend putting that in. Because I think it's misleading, because we want to have overall budget, not just one individual.
correct. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I'm good. We'll take the description out then. Okay, make a motion to approve operating budget, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee's recommended amount of $1,987,307 for general municipal operations, majority vote required. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the last three, the first of which is, we're going to rescind or terminate the professional contracted services expendable trust fund. Shall the town vote to rescind the professional contracted services expendable trust fund created in 2018, all accrued funds approximately $83.85. With accumulated interest at the date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund. We already have this item built into as a line item in the selectmen's executive budget. So it's a case where we don't need to have this on the outside. So we haven't used it. So it's a matter of like, no, use it, let's get rid of it.
And originally it was not as Lynn, well, it wasn't intended for that. It was intended to provide services for the library as far as
Grant writers.
grant
Yes.
writers.
Right.
That's
Oh, okay.
originally the reason. It was
Oh,
established.
all right,
Yeah, it was established by.
okay. All those in favor of terminating that? All right,
Right.
okay. Rescind the salt shed capital reserve fund. Shall the town vote to rescind the salt shed capital reserve fund created in 2003? All accrued funds approximately $6,149.07. With accumulated interest at date of withdrawal ought to be transferred to the municipal general fund. All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
And last, rescind the Woodland Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to rescind the Woodland Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund created in 2003? All accrued funds, approximately $10,392.31 will be with accumulated interest at date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the municipality general fund. I'll make a motion to approve.
And second.
All those in favor, for aye.
Aye.
Okay,
The only thing on that is you got a double.
I caught it, I just brought it, thanks.
That's the only thing. And the thing on that, Lenny, is we already have a fund that we fund in the operating budget for cemeteries.
Right.
Just so that where.
Yeah. we don't need two of them. Cleans the books a little bit. Okay, so we got a few things we got to follow up with on that.
Was it helpful having descriptions of the funds and when they were established and what they were established for?
It is for me.
Yeah, I would think it would be from the general population because some people weren't here back when these things were approved way back when. So having an understanding of like, what is it about is important.
I know I was confused with the one for planning and land use. The description was very different from what I imagined it might be for.
But that's what it was, has been used for in the past.
Right,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, these are taken directly from
The
the warrant
wording.
article descriptions.
And raise it and appropriate it for those specific purposes that
Did
previously
you
approved.
find the description for Woodland Cemetery?
Yes, I did.
You did? And what did it say?
Say there.
Doesn't say here.
No, I didn't put it in.
No.
I didn't put a description. I can show it to you.
Yeah.
Because it was actually changed 1 year, so the description was changed. Actually, the description was changed only for who the trustees were. Making the board the trustees
Yeah.
versus 2 individuals. I found lots of information. It's in my office. If you want to look at it.
Okay. Anything else on warrant articles so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. In about 5 or 6 minutes, we should have some people arriving. We'll take a short recess. Excuse me, you know something? Let's see if we get into public comment. That way you guys don't have to sit through stuff if you don't want to. Let's take some public comment if there is any. Mr. Garso.
Questions from some issues that we talked about last week. Just kind of a friendly reminder, if nothing else, but not at this point, I wanted to know whether the missing property file was back and obtainable at this point. The last I heard from Mike, he was still not able to get a copy or view that.
Do we know if those files came back?
To the best of my knowledge, everything is in the records files. If I was given a map and lot number, I can confirm 100% because I was not told what specific. Everything we talked about here was general. But to the best of my knowledge, when I talked to David
Could we
Hines,
have that?
If you've got the map and lot number, just let Audrey know. She can do a quick check, make sure it's there. So somebody doesn't have to come down here and look for it. And that way you'll know it's here.
I don't have it with me.
No, I know, but just call her or send her an email with that on there and she'll
yeah,
check it.
or go directly to David because David Hines has everything.
Okay, and the second question was personnel files that could be kept with the rest of that stuff. Last week we discovered, have they been moved?
No,
Part of the issue is you gotta have a place to put it. So the intent is to get them in a more secure location in the selectman's office. The issues right now is, other than stacking them in the corner, which I really don't want to do, we need to come up with a solution for that. David.
Well,
A lot
just a
cabinet.
friendly reminder
No,
that
that's good.
we need to get it done.
I don't mind reminders. Just keep right on going. Ask as you need. Anything else? Dude, you all set?
Yep.
Okay, good, Vicky. Were you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay,
Zoning out a little bit over there.
good. That's the cold. Yeah,
the other David.
all right.
So my question is, property taxes and personnel files in the office now
No,
and locked up,
no, because right now our locked storage is over here.
which
Right.
is available to,
Only the
Yeah.
people that have a key to it, which is Deanna, David, and Andre.
and Mike,
No,
Nope,
to go in and out of that door that goes from outside to that room? Is that what you're saying?
no. It's a special room with a special lock on it. He hasn't got keys, nobody's got keys to it other than those 3 people.
All right, so they are locked up.
They are locked up. No,
Okay.
from
They're not
from
just
the
in that
previous
room.
discussion, I want to take a look at having the personnel files not even there, but here.
Right. yeah.
And from that standpoint, it's a cleanup, but we'll get it done.
So
The issue is
if,
we don't have anything to put it in yet.
so if they wanted to come at a weird hour or whatever to get,
During business hours only,
if, okay.
for both
Right.
zoning and health officer. Business hours only,
Okay,
requested David. David will get the file and bring it in here. It doesn't leave the building.
thank you.
So a follow-up for that would be that zoning's key has been. got
Yes.
back.
Is-
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yep, Audrey got it last week. Okay, Vicky, anything else?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, good. That will end public comment.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go for it. I didn't mean to
You
cut
were
you off,
gonna
Vicky.
look up about the granite stone for me to find out.
We actually have Ron coming in this morning as part of this next discussion. And we were supposed to meet with him last week, and that was on our list, Lenny and I. We had to cancel that meeting because Ron had to go to another part of the state at 7 a.m, so he couldn't meet us. So we actually were gonna ask him that before he leaves the building today. How do we get it done and get it over? So, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No. I'm all set.
I'm sorry I cut you off. All right. We'll get our contractors in. Come right in. The public was nice enough to leave you the front row seats. We call them the hot seat.
So check on the Dominion company.
All right, so before we get going, so we get the minutes right, let's start from my right all the way over to my left. Name of your company, your name and the name of the company you represent.
Jeff Perry, GMI Asphalt. And Scott Boyce, All States Materials.
Jerry Gilbert, R&D paving.
Ron Evans.
We know Ron. Okay, so the purpose of this meeting, gentlemen, was to basically get you in here. To find out if you had any questions about any of the content in the bid spec that went out. Timing. Anything. Because if you do, we want to basically make sure everybody's got it in writing and we can share it. So everybody's comfortable with the fact that no matter what happens in that next phase of that Ron's going to be involved with the fill and some of the other stuff that needs to go in from a hauling standpoint. Good. Ron, do you have any questions? Or you want to put out anything that,
Well, I just wanted to, years ago when Carroll was doing it, basically he'd come in and grind the section of road and grade it out and compact it to a passable. And then we would come in a couple of 3 weeks time or whatever the time frame is to add gravel to it, regrade, rough grade it and get it ready for pavement. And then you guys could come in and fine grade it and pave it. Last year with R&D, we didn't have enough time in between, so we only got a little bit of gravel on it, and which wasn't too bad because the section we did last year was one of the better sections in town. But the next 1.5 to 3 miles is probably one of the worst sections in town. So I want to make sure that we have time to do what we need to do between grinding.
Should they in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So there's, we have to provide a grade to work along with you.
If you guys do like you usually do when you just rough grade it and compact it like you usually do, you don't have to fine grade it between, after you grind it. We will apply the gravel to it. And then when you come back to pave, you'll have to fine grade that.
So we're talking of an additional fine grade. We have to come back to fine grade beyond the reclaim. So we come in, reclaim, then grade it, then you do your thing, then we return to fine grade.
Yep.
So you don't need us to follow you.
No, we got our own grade. We'll get it, make it so passable, everything else is fairly presentable. So you guys would have to come in.
and the big part of the job that we're speaking about here is a shorter stretch. It's not the whole.
Yeah,
2.4
basically,
miles.
once you get down over the steep hill from there out, that won't be bad because, but it's between High Watch and where we ended last year is the absolute worst.
That make sense to you, gentlemen?
In that time frame, who's responsible for road? Let's say we grind it, we grade it, and we have a massive storm that washes out. Who's responsible for coming back? Yeah. Okay. So once we leave, once we demo from reclaiming, we're done until you give us the go to
Good. Anything else? Now's the time.
There's one end of the road, and I noticed in the spec, it's, where the paved 21 foot wide. One end of the road, the 25, Route 25, it goes up to like 22 to 23 feet wide. Will we be paving it back to the same as it is, or are we paving it to 21 feet?
Mike, how did we have that when we talked about that?
We were standardizing things to roughly
That's what I
21
thought.
foot.
We had 26, we had different length, different widths in that road.
Different roads around town, we're all over the place. But you really only need about 20 foot wide on a country road, so 21 feet is a nice width. So to meet the town's budget, have a consistency, the road would be the same, width all the way through. And that's what you got on Green Mountain Road. On the other sections really is 21.
The
Trucks,
same-
everything's
It's
passed.
essentially the same width that we've done already.
Yes,
Okay.
it'd be a lot of money just for what,
21,
21.
what's in this back? Good question. Keep going, gentlemen. What else you have?
Curious on how we're gonna be awarding this. I see in your bid sheet, you're looking at total cost and then unit cost. What are we gonna be looking at? Are we gonna be looking at total project price to award it, or? the unit cost?
Total project, and that's why we've got 2 warrant articles, that's why you're asking for 2 bids.
Yeah.
We know we've got to do the next section, we know that next section is gonna cost us a chunk of money, and we are looking, hopefully, based on the resources the town has, to be able to do the whole thing rather than just the next section, but if for some reason it's determined the town doesn't have enough money at town meeting, we only do the next 1.1 miles.
So we're gonna be awarding to total project price.
Yep.
But is it to be billed out per unit?
Mike?
So I think what Jerry is talking about, total unit price, comes into a couple things. You have reclaim price and you'll have your asphalt price. Asphalt tends to move, the reclaim could be a standard thing. So some of the considerations the board has in the specs is that the bottom line isn't always necessarily the bottom line. Because if you had somebody with a higher asphalt price with a moving average, that moves the money. The other thing I think Jerry's looking at is those items, those are unit prices. So when comparing the unit prices versus the total bottom line price, I think that's what he's addressing there. Is that basically what you're looking at, Jerry?
Well, number one, for the award, I want to make sure if we're going by total project price, that everybody's on the same page as far as they're working off of the specs that were put out in the bid. So the total tonnage, the total square yards, and so on. So everybody's bidding the same thing, the same number.
So I have a question for you. This is where not my bridge building, my road building capability comes into play. If we do it as a total contract price, I know in looking at all the previous contracts we've done for the roads, the asphalt thing is a variable that's automatically built into the contracts.
Right.
So in your view, based on what I just said, if I said it's total price, but we know we've got the floater of the asphalt,
But I'm not talking about the AC.
okay,
What I'm talking about is your total project price. And let's say I'm counting on 4,000 ton.
Yeah.
And he's counting on 4,500 ton. We got to make sure those numbers are the same. So we should both be going by the 4,000 ton to give you a total project price.
I know what Jerry's getting on. In the specs, we put a projected tonnage. So if everybody bases their bid on those numbers, even if those numbers would have fluctuated at the end of the project, at least they're bidding on those numbers and it's fair across the board. Is that
everybody's on the same numbers.
Right.
But you're gonna pay on tonnage plates.
Correct,
We got it, yeah.
So that's where the unit price comes in.
right.
So it's awarded by the overall contract price. Pay item is gonna be paid based on the unit prices.
And I would say, I believe the town would reserve its right to consider that the asphalt price, because that's the variable. We've had that swing because the project's so far out. So a consideration for the board is to see that number move with a project that big. You obviously know that it's worth some money.
And when we walked in on it.
Right.
So, yep. So Jerry, I didn't answer your question, but did you get the answer you were looking for?
So the award will be for the total project price
Based on the numbers that are here.
based on everybody providing on the same numbers, the same units. And then we'll be billing out per unit.
I agree, you're good. Good, thank you. Okay. All right,
Can you, if you bid on a job, can you guys give an estimate on it based on your measurements?
So absolutely, we'll provide that. We'll usually give a quote along with the bid, which,
That way, if they each figure the tonnage they think it's gonna require, if you leave an open number, I just don't wanna have you say there's 4,000 tons, but then come in at 5,000 tons,
Right.
because the town's gonna go bankrupt. So if you guys measure it, figure your tonnage at 21 feet, that way the town's got a rough idea. That way, if you bid, like if you have 4,000, he has 4,800, we'll know there's some sort of discrepancy.
I think the discrepancy would come with my numbers because I'm not a professional in the field.
Wow,
I
that's
put
what
the
I'm
tonnage
saying.
together, so thanks, Ron.
That way you got a price.
Yep.
Everybody has the amount they think they're gonna need.
full fair disclosure, yep. Good. All right, anything else?
I have one question. Ron, how much notice do you think you'll need for, to follow up the grinding?
We'll know they're grinding anyways, more than likely.
They'll coordinate their schedules with Ron to make sure that they know when they're done. Ron will know when he's supposed to come in and,
We'll just have a meeting, probably, you'll have a meeting before you start grinding. and everything anyways, So I'm guessing I'll just show up with you and we can just send the schedule. out.
which is what we did last time.
I wasn't here.
Okay. Anything else? Going once, going twice? Good.
You know, put an addendum out with the attendees.
Yep. Audrey's taking the notes, all the questions, all the answers, and we will get it to everybody that's here. Good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I know it was a trip over. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Look forward to your numbers. Have a great day. Good. Vicky had a question last week, and when we didn't meet, I didn't ask you. The granite that's sitting up in Mike's
Yeah,
barn lot,
something like this.
can we get that moved at some point, or is that gonna wait till spring, or?
It'll be for a warm day.
Yeah, well, yeah, we don't need it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we could wait till the time comes up, yeah, above 30 or 20.
Yeah, I'll have to get it this week. Actually, the end of the week it's supposed to be
Okay,
okay.
all right. Good. And where do you think you're gonna put it down transfer station? Any idea? I'm just curious.
It is a pile down.
There's a pile there.
There's a pile, okay,
Yeah.
Add to it.
add to the pile. Okay, good. Super, Vicky? Good, all right.
Come after you if you don't. do it.
And Hunter's Bridge Road, I understand some gravel went down and a little bit of grading went down, and
Yeah.
actually you don't have to break an axle, try to get across that
It
now.
ain't bad.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Have you had a chance to ride any of the other ones, or one of your guys, to find out how bad we are around town?
Say that again.
Have you had a chance, or have one of your guys had a chance to drive around and see how bad we are with some of the dirt roads?
The dirt roads ain't bad, but we got some pretty good potholes.
Yeah, we do.
I really need to wait until the ice gets out of the holes and it warms up just a tad.
So wait, is it gonna be above freezing basically when you gotta put that down, or is it or near freezing, or?
Well, it can be just about, it ain't bad if it's freezing or above, but like I said, right now we've gotten so much ice, the stuff is just, you look in the holes and there's like 2 inches of ice. If I put it in there, that soon you hit it, that's going away, so.
In some of the bad ones, is it worth filling gravel in temporarily till we can get warmer weather?
We could try it, I guess.
You wanna try it?
I don't know, will the ice in there,
Oh, it'll come out. I got no
Yeah,
doubt it'll
that's-
come out. I'm just,
it'd be a waste of money, I think,
yep, okay.
right now.
I've been just trying to wait for a warm day without ice.
Yeah.
It rains every day.
Yeah, as soon as we get a one day it rains. Yeah.
Even the state's challenge, number 16, it's
Oh, yeah,
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, there's just nothing you can really do.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, soon you drive over it half a dozen times, it's just not.
Has your team run into anything with snow plowing this winter or sanding this winter that is a concern?
It's getting old.
Already.
Yeah, it hasn't been going too bad.
Okay,
Yeah. You do get taught every weekend. Like, so.
yeah, something else coming this weekend too, didn't they?
No, I think I just watched it last night. Supposedly said that somebody's gonna be out there thinking something on Friday, maybe something.
Okay. All right, good. Anything else?
You get the tree on Plantation Road?
Yeah.
I see they tried to push it out with a plow, but that
I
didn't
forgot-
work.
I forgot to change our day went over and cut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually you can push them off the road, but that one was stuck right in the crotch, I guess. And it went, coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'd be a good thing.
All right. Good. Champion Hill. That little basin that we have that we rebuilt that apparently it didn't work.
I don't know just what's going on, I'll be honest with you. There's a little hole there.
Yeah, I mean, I know the day I stopped by and you guys or your team was rebuilding the thing, it was basically, okay, I understand why it washed the way it did. But once I get it done and put the patch on it, I thought it was done, but obviously it's
I
not.
really don't
somehow.
know what's going on there. So
Okay.
it's doing the exact same thing it was before we put it. I can see why it did it to begin with.
Yeah,
You know, the blocks had half rotted out, so they got sort of buried in there, but we held them all tight and we put it together. So I don't know if it was just an air pocket. I don't know what it was, but as soon as it warmed up a little bit, I was gonna throw
Take-
a
take a-
cold batch in it and see if it installed that.
okay, all right. Yeah, I know Chris had wanted us to keep it on our radar until it got.
I don't know, it just seemed like it would have been more than a water run 6 more inches and go in the grate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it would have been nice to have it complete the path coming down the hill. All right, those are the only things I have. Anything else? Audrey?
Randy said at the fire station, someone to go up after I called to put some sand out, but that's just the place to be aware of all the ice. I don't know.
Yeah, which one are you talking about? The little fire station?
I believe it's the big one that,
Yeah.
one that they're there.
Yeah, we sanded it the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, so I guess that's just,
Usually we plow that, and it goes right down the dirt, but all it's been doing is raining. So
yeah,
and I don't think we've ever really sanded that in all the years I've done it. And this is the first year I wasn't really thinking about it.
that's just something to put on the list.
Yeah.
Keep aware of things.
That the last on your list? My list
at
is
the
done.
transfer station, when you plow down back for the brush pile, can they make a pass in? Because there's people trying to go in there and get what
Yeah.
sand is in there,
Okay,
you know, and they're walking through the snow and carrying buckets.
yeah, I'll have them. I haven't been down that in the town.
I mean, there's a lot of sand still there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, we used it one storm there, but I had my loaders over at the sand pit, so I never put it down. I did when we was gonna have that supposed big storm, I moved it down there. But yeah, I'll make sure they keep it cleaned up.
Are we also still, now that you mentioned the sand, are we also still doing the
Yep.
pile of sand right as you're going in Storage Road, right there at the end, so people could go in and fill up right there?
Yep. Yeah, Dave usually throws one bucket over there. about
Okay.
Every storm, it freezes up by the next one, so we just add a little bit to it. mentioned it. First couple storms we didn't do it.
Okay,
But I mean, a lot of people go to the transfer station and want to get a bucket of sand.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta drive way over there.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure they keep it.
Well, last year, there was private citizens plowing down there. So
Okay.
you could get sand.
Yeah, we used to have a load down there, so dang rough, that's the problem is. And it's so tight, there's no place to push anything. Usually with a loader, we could just move it out of the way. Let's see if we can do a better job.
Yeah, just to pass the two down in there, there's some people who back down in and drive down.
I've had quite a few calls and I've told them of those two sand piles. I was qualified and say I haven't been out there myself, but this is what I hear.
Well, the thing is down there, I don't really have any mixed up with salt or anything else, so usually the pile froze 12
Yeah.
inches thick. This over here, we mix a little salt in with it, so it's a little further dry, but at least they can shovel the stuff will be down there if we don't dig into it, like we haven't done it for 2 weeks. It's crusted over, we'll get down with the loader, you gotta peel the skin off the top of it. So I guess somebody with a shovel would struggle pretty hard to get into it now.
Yeah. You know, get the sun shining on it, a little
Yeah.
bright spot, sun shining on it helps. Anything else, sir? No.
good, Ron, thank you
Good
for
job.
coming in.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I know these guys were interested in making sure you were here, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Have we heard from the chief?
No. The text person up. I'm here, but just took in a child abuse case, and I have to go to Maine Med to conduct interviews for this meeting.
Thank you very
I
much.
emailed you this chat.
I'll tell him I'll just read what he handed us, and we'll have to get more detail later. Okay. The police chief was gonna come in, but obviously has a criminal case he's working on. The monthly stats for December 2021, this is the Effingham Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. Calls for service, there were 274. There were 6 arrests. And I do know one of those arrests was with using the new K9 in a drug stop on a motor vehicle. And there were 68 motor vehicle stops and there were 8 accidents. The state police numbers, we don't get reported on a regular basis, so those are always in arrears. We've got nothing for this month. So the total calls are, as I just said, 274, 668, and 8. The activity levels are up dramatically from a year ago. I say dramatically about 30% from a volume standpoint. I had a discussion last night with Sergeant Welch. We're in the process of putting together a nonprofit association to support training of the police officers, primarily Officer Farrow, the K9. There are some grants that are available out there that we're going to go after as a result of that, but they will only pay into a 501c3. So we're going to try and get a non-charitable association so we can grab those grants. In addition to that, there is a new webpage, k9pharaoh.com, that has been set up, and it is a merchandise page. And it's some, I saw it last night, there's some really neat stuff in there. It went out on Sunday night. And when I talked to Sean last night, he said there's already 15 to 20 orders that have been submitted by people that want shirts and other things. There's also on that site, you'll see a shoulder patch, which I think is very attractive. The design was really good. It's got basically the outline of the Effingham town seal, but it's got the K9 headshot in the middle of it. Looks pretty cool. And it has that when that went out, that one goes out worldwide. So what happened was it was put out, and within a few hours, there were 75 orders from all over the country and a couple parts of the world for people that want to get the patch. And I didn't realize it, but apparently shoulder patches are a big trade item amongst the police and fire communities. They trade patches all the time in big collections. So there's a feeling that some of this activity early on was people that want to be first in to be able to get it for their collection. So if you want, take a look. I'm sure there'll be more information coming out from the PD on that. Do we need non-public?
I don't need
I
one.
don't, we don't either. Audrey, do you need it? Okay, good. I guess we're at the bewitching hour.
You want to announce a meeting?
I think, no, you can, go ahead. I keep forgetting. Just,
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah, you can
Ask a question. There's something in this room that's making everybody respiratory problems.
mine is wood smoke from my house. I know what the issue is. Until I get to spring and I don't have a wood smoke.
I just go
Do you-
nuts. I know Vic does too.
Okay, but you still got, you got
And I
something.
noticed the panel here,
But
just,
that's not something here.
we're all gasping. Is this thing ever, we replaced that
We just
filter?
got it. They just got it.
It's brand new.
Yeah, that's brand new.
How long's the filter been in there?
Well, the filters are supposed to last for a year and there's an indicator on it. I will check it. Chief Burbank is going to start coming through the building at least every other week. He came through for the first time last week and did a spray because two of the administrators in the offices have also, they come in here in the morning and are congested. And after he did it for the first time last week, the next morning they didn't experience that. So we have asked him to come through this building more and do that.
What is this?
I was just saying that's what the spray is.
I don't know, it smelled like ammonia, but he did all the handles and table
Is it the
surfaces.
spray like they use for like COVID?
Yeah,
When
that,
they
yeah, it was,
clean schools and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So, and, yeah, it's this funky looking space gun.
Yeah,
And he came through and did the building and we've asked him to come through, so I can ask him to do pay more attention. If he does it on a Monday morning when he drops off time sheets, then it would be relatively fresh. But I'll look at that too and make sure it's set correctly.
Thank you. Nope, appreciate the comment.
Haven't noticed.
never noticed.
And I didn't because of, my wood smoke thing. So it's like, okay. So, but I appreciate that bringing that up. Thank you. Okay, before we do the final adjournment, budget committee meeting tonight at 6 p.m. And the next selectmen's meeting will be Wednesday, January 19th, because Monday is a holiday. So it will push forward one day, Wednesday, January 19th, 9 a.m. So,
Yep.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, full eye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.
Okay.